Yang Sun received soy sauce from one of the girls who had been helped by Sung Yol. She then gave it to Sung Yol, who accepted it kindly. She then asked Sung Yol about the king's claim that she was the secret plan to destroy Gui. But Sung Yol denied the statement. Yang Sun asked him not to fight Gui until he had fully recovered. Su Hyang met Hye Ryong at the palace to request the return of Sung Yol's black cloak. Hye Ryong refused, explaining that the cloak was part of her plan to bring Yang Sun before Gui, so Prince Li Yun could confront him for the nation's safety. In the village, the residents gathered to discuss the announcement that each village must send a girl to the palace before the full moon. Otherwise, their taxes would be doubled. The villagers were worried, especially since the only unmarried girl in the village was Bom. When the soldiers came looking for her, Yang Sun ran to her house. Bom's father tried to protect his daughter, but the soldiers were convinced she was hiding and gave her father time until the full moon. Su Hyang met with Sung Yol and informed him of Gui's plan. She stressed that surrendering Yang Sun could destroy Gui, but Sung Yol refused. He insisted on protecting Yang Sun, even if it meant getting hurt. Yang Sun overheard the conversation, leaving her devastated and confused. As Su Hyang stepped outside, she met Yang Sun and revealed that she was a descendant of Gui through her maternal bloodline. Yang Sun was shocked and confused about her identity. When she returned, Sung Yol welcomed her and invited her for a walk. Before that, Yang Sun gave him a pair of leather shoes she had worked hard on. They walked around the village together, enjoying a peaceful moment. Meanwhile, Baek In-hoo and Ho Jin went to Seo Jung-do's house. On the way, Baek In-hoo recalled his past and rushed to the palace to meet Prince Li Yun. However, he saw soldiers taking girls to the palace, causing chaos. Baek In-hoo helped stop the commotion. Sung Yol waited for Yang Sun, but she never came. He became worried and went to the village, where he learned from Bom's father that Yang Sun had gone to the palace to surrender herself. Sung Yol was shocked and immediately went to look for Yang Sun. At the palace, Prince Li Yun was changing clothes with Hye Ryong's help. He was wearing Sung Yol's black cloak and was determined not to give it to Gui. Sung Yol returned to his residence at Yumseok Gol, where Ho Jin was waiting. He informed Ho Jin that Yang Sun had truly gone to the palace by her own will. Ho Jin also revealed that the maternal bloodline might not be enough to destroy Gui, which convinced Sung Yol that Yang Sun was not the key to defeating Gui. He was determined and ready to save her even if it meant facing Gui and great danger. At the palace, Yang Sun and the other girls were dressed elegantly. Su Hyang, who was in the room, was shocked to see Yang Sun. She decided to dress Yang Sun to be the most beautiful and stunning. Baek In-hoo was enjoying a meal served by two young villagers he had helped. They believed that the man in the black cloak Prince Li Yun was looking for was him. Elsewhere, Prince Li Yun was speaking with Minister Choi Chul-chung and No Chang-sun. They discussed rumors that a man in a black cloak had just helped village girls fight royal soldiers. Choi Chul-chung suspected the man was Sung Yol, unaware that the prince himself was wearing the cloak. The prince spoke with Hye Ryong, revealing his resolve to save the nation even if it meant sacrificing his friend, Seo Jin, also known as Yang Sun. Hye Ryong tried to calm him down, but the atmosphere changed when a soldier reported an emergency. The prince told Hye Ryong to say he was at a Buddhist temple. No Chang-sun met Gui in his cave. Gui showed him Hak Young, who had become a vampire, and threatened to continue torturing him unless he revealed Prince Li Yun's plan. Meanwhile, Sung Yol arrived at the palace and found it heavily guarded. As he was nearly caught, he was helped by a man in a black cloak who turned out to be a soldier of the prince. Sung Yol refused to hand Yang Sun over to Gui, even though he knew the plan was meant to destroy Gui. He revealed that the maternal bloodline, including Yang Sun's blood, was not enough to defeat Gui. The prince returned Sung Yol's cloak and warned him that the village girls were being held at Hwayangak. He also cautioned him to be careful when going there, as it might be a trap set by Gui. Even so, Sung Yol insisted on going to rescue Yang Sun. Upon hearing this, the prince decided to assign his soldiers to help Sung Yol rescue the girls, including Yang Sun. At Hwayangak, Sung Yol disguised himself as a soldier and managed to enter the girls' quarters. He urged them to leave, but heard that Yang Sun had already been taken away by Choi Chul-chung. Outside, chaos broke out when Baek In-hoo captured Choi Chul-chung. Sung Yol used the confusion to search for Yang Sun. He disguised himself as a soldier obeying the Prime Minister's orders to gain sympathy. Meanwhile, Yang Sun and Su Hyang arrived at the underground palace. They met No Chang-sun and Hye Ryong. Although Hye Ryong tried to stop her, Yang Sun still went to Gui's cave to surrender herself in order to save Sung Yeol. Inside the cave, Gui smelled Yang Sun's blood and revealed that she was the daughter of the lustful scholar, Zhou Saiyang. As Gui was about to bite Yang Sun, Su Hyang tried to stop him by offering herself. However, Gui refused. He noticed vampire bite marks on Yang Sun's body, which made him hesitate. Outside the cave, Sung Yeol fought Hak Young, who had turned into a vampire. Realizing his former human identity, Hak Young chose to end his life by stabbing himself with a knife held by the prince. This left the prince deeply shaken. Sung Yeol asked the prince to stay outside while he entered Gui's cave. Inside, Gui was choking Yang Sun. When Sung Yeol arrived and saw it, he was filled with rage. Gui, realizing his presence, let go of the chokehold. At the palace, Gui realized that Yang Sun was part of a secret plan to defeat him. He stabbed her neck with his fingernail, making her bleed. Sung Yeol arrived to protect Yang Sun and Su Hyang, sparking a fierce battle with Gui. However, Gui's superior strength weakened Sung Yeol. Gui mocked Sung Yeol for losing his power due to holding back his vampire urges and trying to protect humans. To save him, Yang Sun injured herself and gave her blood to Sung Yeol. This revived him, and he managed to wound Gui, while Su Hyang took Yang Sun away. Outside the palace, the Prime Minister arrived with a large army, intending to capture Prince Li Yun for defying Gui. However, the prince also received support from his own soldiers. A battle broke out between the two sides. Amid the chaos, the prince ordered Su Hyang and Yang Sun to escape with protection. Before leaving, Su Hyang warned the prince to be cautious of Hye Ryong, who turned out to be Gui's servant. Su Hyang and Yang Sun, hiding in the village, met Baek In-hoo. He took them to a safer place. Meanwhile, the severely wounded Gui ordered the Prime Minister to capture Yang Sun and bring the prince to him. In captivity, Hye Ryong revealed to the prince that she became Gui's servant due to her father's coercion. Upon learning this, the prince promised to try to protect her. Elsewhere, Sung Yeol went into the forest, haunted by visions of himself, as both a human and a vampire. This left him conflicted and unsure of his identity. Choi Chul-chung came to the prince's prison. His daughter, Hye Ryong, tried to persuade him not to harm the prince and to help him gain the royal throne. He agreed and brought his daughter before Gui as she wished. Hye Ryong tried to persuade Gui not to kill the prince. Gui agreed and declared that he himself would become king. He ordered the Prime Minister to prepare a grand assembly. Meanwhile, the prince was stripped of his robe and exiled. Elsewhere, Baek In-hoo's disguise to bring Yang Sun into the palace failed, causing the soldiers to attack him. Suddenly, Sung Yeol appeared and fought off the soldiers, defeating them all. Baek In-hoo stabbed him with a sword, telling him to remember his human emotions. Suddenly, Yang Sun hugged him, causing his vampire urges to subside. However, he fainted, leaving Yang Sun worried. Inside the palace, the ministers rebelled over the issue of Prince Li Yun's removal from the throne. Gui used this situation to tighten his grip on power. Hye Ryong, trying to manipulate Gui, pledged her loyalty to support his ambition. Gui finally declared himself king, further worsening the chaos in the palace. Elsewhere, Gui recalled a story from 120 years ago about his pact with Taizhou, where they agreed he would protect the royal family in exchange for a descendant and being made king at night. However, Gui felt the agreement had not been honored, so he decided to end all pacts. At the palace, as the ministers gathered, Gui suddenly arrived with Hye Ryong and claimed the king's throne. Prince Li Yun faced a serious threat while in exile. Soldiers were ordered to kill him, but among them were those loyal to Hye Ryong. Conflict erupted between the two sides. Amid the chaos, Prince Li Yun tried to calm the situation and make them realize the truth. His efforts succeeded in gaining the support of some soldiers, although a few chose to flee. Meanwhile, in the palace, Gui declared himself king. One of the ministers opposed his decision, but Gui ignored him. He reminded them that the current government was built by him along with Taizhou. Gui ordered the ministers to bring treasures and silver as a condition for promotion. This command sparked great dissatisfaction among the ministers. Elsewhere, the severely wounded Sung Yeol was being treated by Hojin and Su Hyang. While sleeping, he had a strange dream about his family, Myung-hee, and himself turning into a vampire. In the dream, he met Yang Sun, who tried to help him find Prince Jungyun's journal. However, the dream ended tragically when Young Sun died by stabbing herself on a knife held by his vampire version. He then woke up from the dream in fear. Young Sun realized that Sung Yol had regained consciousness. Sung Yol asked her about his condition, not remembering the recent events that had occurred. Gui roamed around the palace, asserting his power through brutal actions. He even bit a royal soldier who dared to threaten him. He Ryong tried to warn Gui about potential resistance from the cabinet and the people. But Gui remained confident that humans could be easily subdued. Meanwhile, in the village, the people grew uneasy due to increasing vampire attacks. There, Gui tried to gain their attention by pretending to save them and claiming himself as king. Meanwhile, Yang Sun tried to lift Sung Yol's spirits, even though she still felt guilty about everything that had happened. Prince Li Yun finally met with Sung Yol and asked for his cooperation to fight Gui. The prince believed the vampire attacks disturbing the villagers were Gui's ploy to gain public support. He also promised not to use Yang Sun as bait, respecting Sung Yol's feelings for her. Amid the struggle, Yang Sun wrote the story, The Scholar of the Night, to spread the truth to the people. The book began to influence the public, making them question Gui's leadership and believe in the Black Cloak Society and the Scholar of the Night who were helping to fight the vampires. At the palace, Gui held a meeting with cabinet members, discussing the spread of the Scholar of the Night book among the people and its influence. Gui ordered the books to be burned along with those distributing them. Suddenly, a soldier arrived and reported that vampires had appeared in Kangwa. Gui planned to handle it himself. However, the soldier said they had all been killed by the Black Cloak forces. Hearing this made Gui furious. The prince and Sung Yol felt helpless after the battle. One of the village girls tried to help Sung Yol stand up. The girl claimed she was the Scholar of the Night. This act drew sympathy from the people and encouraged them to help. Receiving such help confused Sung Yol, as the villagers showed no fear upon seeing him. Gui arrived in Kangwa with his troops, ordering the killing of the remaining villagers to erase any trace of Sung Yol's help. However, his soldiers failed to find any villagers. Enraged, Gui ordered a large reward announcement for anyone who could locate Sung Yol. The prince and Sung Yol gathered with the villagers of Kangwa. The prince encouraged Sung Yol, reminding him that the people believed he was different from Gui. Sung Yol stated that once Gui was eliminated, the people would need the prince. Meanwhile, the villagers roasted potatoes for food and shared them with them. Ho Jin informed Su Hyang and Yang Sun that the Night Scholar's book had influenced the villagers. When soldiers distributed wanted posters for Sung Yol, the villagers deliberately removed them, angering the soldiers. On the other hand, Sung Yol was worried about the prince's safety because the identity of the leader of the Black Cloak group had been discovered. A villager offered help to fight Gui, but the prince declined to protect them. Sung Yol and the prince then planned a strategy with the Black Cloak Alliance. Suddenly, royal soldiers arrived, and Sung Yol threatened them until they left. Sung Yol invited the prince to Yum Suk Gol, but the prince wanted to check on the empress's condition first. Gui, furious after failing to capture Sung Yol, killed one of his soldiers in front of Choi Chul Chung. Sung Yol returned home and spoke with Yang Sun, who was writing the ending to the Night Scholar's story. In the main room, Sung Yol gathered with Ho Jin, Su Hyang, and Yang Sun to plan how to destroy Gui. Yang Sun suggested blowing up the underground palace, but there was a conflict with two of Sung Yol's servants. The prince met with Sung Yol, and they discussed the worsening condition of the palace. Sung Yol proposed the plan to blow up the underground palace, but the prince rejected it due to the high risk involved. At the palace, Gui decided to execute Empress Hye Ryong to lure Prince Li Yun. Hye Ryong wrote a confession letter to the prince, apologizing for her sins. After reading the letter, the prince decided to go to the palace even though he believed it was a trap. He left a message with a soldier that Sung Yol would lead the group if he did not return. The prince arrived at the palace and met Gui and Hye Ryong. Gui threatened to turn the prince into a vampire who would slaughter everyone near the palace, but the prince was confident he could control himself. When Gui tried to bite him, Hye Ryong stabbed Gui, but Gui retaliated by accidentally killing her. Sung Yol arrived and saved the prince. They returned home, where Sung Yol encouraged the prince to stay alive for the sake of the people. In the village, a student provoked the people to overthrow the vampire king. Ho Jin informed Sung Yol that a rebellion was about to happen. Sung Yol gathered the Black Cloak warriors in preparation. He asked Ho-jin to protect the prince and Su-hyang to watch over Yang-sun. It turned out Yang-sun overheard their conversation from outside, making her sad, but she continued to support Sung-yeol. Before parting, Sung-yeol and Yang-sun talked about the ending of the Night Scholar's story, where he would die alongside Gui for peace. Yang-sun hoped Sung-yeol would return safely. Meanwhile, Gui, enraged by Hae-ryong's death, killed all of his soldiers in a fit of rage. Sung-yeol led the Black Cloak warriors with a plan to storm the underground palace and destroy it to eliminate Gui. The royal assembly hall was filled with the corpses of soldiers, as a result of Gui's furious and frantic rampage. He swore to give Sung-yeol a final gift that would never be forgotten. The situation inside the palace was utter chaos due to Gui's brutal massacre of humans. Meanwhile, Yang-sun decided to disguise herself as a man to join the rebellion. Su-hyang tried to stop her, warning that her actions could endanger Sung-yeol, but Yang-sun remained determined. The prince came out of his chamber, intending to help Sung-yeol despite Ho-jin's attempts to stop him. After hearing reports that Gui had slaughtered everyone in the palace, the prince decided to join Sung-yeol's plan. Yang-sun offered herself to assist in the rebellion at the palace. The prince allowed it, but advised her not to think about death, as they were the country's last hope. Ho-jin also volunteered to join. The villagers began to rebel in front of the palace because the soldiers forbade them from entering. From a distance, Sung-yeol and the Black Cloak group formulated a plan. They entered the palace and headed to Gui's underground lair, but got caught in a vampire ambush. Meanwhile, Choi Chul-chung arrived at the palace and ordered the soldiers to arrest the villagers, but was stopped by the prince. Sung-yeol managed to defeat the vampires in the cave. He believed it was part of Gui's trap to weaken his power. Choi Chul-chung entered the palace to retrieve his belongings. Gui saw this and was enraged, killing him for being a traitor. The villagers insisted on entering the palace, but the prince asked them to wait outside. He instructed them that if he didn't come out before sunset, they must ensure that no vampire made it out of the palace. Sung-yeol saved a woman who was about to be bitten by a vampire, while the prince, Yang-sun, and Ho-jin prepared with royal weapons. They were attacked by vampires and nearly trapped, but Sung-yeol came and rescued them. Sung-yeol decided to lure Gui to the underground palace. The prince gave him the royal sword to aid him in the battle against Gui, hoping that Sung-yeol would return the sword as a sign of his victory. Yang-sun secretly followed Sung-yeol to the underground palace. There, she pleaded with him to drink her blood to increase his strength. Hesitantly, Sung-yeol finally bit her and drank her blood. Gui arrived, triggering a fierce battle. Meanwhile, the prince activated the explosives, causing the cave to gradually collapse. Sunlight streamed in, burning both Sung-yeol and Gui inside. In his final moments, Sung-yeol remembered Yang-sun before vanishing with Gui. The prince and Ho-jin watched the underground palace slowly collapse, feeling utterly devastated. Yang-sun regained consciousness and saw the ruins of the underground palace, feeling lost and heartbroken at the thought of losing Sung-yeol. The prince, Ho-jin, and Yang-sun opened the palace gates. The villagers and Su-hyang, upon seeing them, were thrilled and overjoyed that the vampires had been destroyed. 1 year later, the people lived in peace. The prince focused on preserving books for the future. Yang-sun, now a teacher, found hope in her book, The Night Scholar, which she had written. On their memory hill, Sung-yeol reappeared, shocking and delighting Yang-sun. She ran to hug him, promising to always be by his side wherever he went.